Good afternoon. My name is Nikita. I'm from Pearl Academy and I'm currently studying interior design and I'm in my fourth year and I'm here to discuss upon my research topic which is about the differences between the design schools and the design industry. So my reason for this research and the interview is to get a better understanding from the professionals what can be the possible differences that is coming nowadays when a student first time like when he enters the industry, so he was not compatible to those situations or to the work scenario. So I'm just trying to understand what are the situations that are causing these things. So yeah, that's why I'm here. So I'll start with my questionnaires. First of all, before that, I just want to say thank you to you for giving me your time and opportunity.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So the name of your firm,
So this is GM Architects.
which is full form for
So it's my name, Gaurav Mathur, basically. So yeah.
what kind of projects do you work on?
So we are majorly into hospitality. We do a lot of hotels, resorts, residential farmhouses. That's the main, core of the firm is.
So the but among these, what are like primary ones? That you
Majorly hotels and resorts.
hotels and resorts. Okay. So what is the like hierarchy at your firm?
So basically, we have three major divisions. One is the architectural team, then we have interiors team, and then we have the presentation team. And depending on the work, we also do a lot of conservation and landscape work as well. So that's how the overall office working is.
Okay. And so do you hire interns among newly graduates?
Yeah. So yes, we hire both of them, in fact.
Okay. So when you hire the students from design school, what are your expectations from them?
So you're asking of two things, one is the intern and one is the fresh graduate, So in both the cases, the expectation becomes little different. So when we are talking of intern, we understand that the student is very raw and this is the first time he's coming to the office, and it's more of a formal environment जहाँ पे उसको बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ extensions नहीं मिलने वाले हैं, request accept नहीं होने वाली है, that he cannot go to the teacher and or to the boss and say कि 3 दिन 5 दिन बाद हो जाएगा, because we ultimately have to give things to the client, and client is on a deadline because the contractor is on site with the execution. So this fresh person who has just come from the academics to more of a practical mode, I think faces some challenge here, where he is actually supposed to deliver good quality of work, good creativity, good understanding, good teamwork in a very stipulated time, but then I think that's what training is all about. So these are certain challenges that I see when there's a new intern in the office. Second, you asked about a fresh graduate, So expectation from a fresh graduate is definitely higher than the intern, because it is believed that he has already done an internship for 4 months to 6 months to in a year, So he is well acquainted with the office environment. So we don't have to really think in those lines that अभी तो ये बिल्कुल ऑफिस में कोई पहली बार आ रहा है. Now coming to the technical part of the expectation, we expect the student to have basic understanding of the conceptuals of more or less all the subjects that he has studied, some basic idea of materials which are available in the market, where to source them, some technical specifications. For example, if you're talking of a veneer or a laminate, सो क्या थिकनेस में है, मतलब फेविकॉल से लगेगा कि प्लाई पे लग रहा है कि एमडीएफ पे कोई ट्रीटमेंट होना है. सो ऑल दीज एस्पेक्ट्स इफ आर नॉट क्लियर, then the student or this fresh graduate takes a lot of time to deliver that work, because he gets into that little bit of research that time, so the time lag becomes little bigger. So what I'm trying to say is that there are two important things that we expect. One is that he should have some basic understanding of the market in terms of materials, vendors, execution, and second is that he should be able to cope up with the team and get into the system of the office ASAP, because every office works in a different system, and based on that he will be given different roles and responsibilities. The sooner he adapts it, the better it is. And of course office will also try and pick up the uh, the strength of the candidate. So if he is good in A, doesn't mean that we'll give him work of D and E. Then we'll focus on A. So yeah.
Okay, so like, what are the tasks you assign them to interns or the newly graduates?
Okay, so when it comes to intern, I mean, I think the scope of work more or less is same. It is just that the scale changes.
Right.
So we very regularly give site visit reports. We always write down minutes of the meeting. We do a lot of coordination in the office. Then there are a lot of presentations and also competitions that we take part in. There are regular site visits. So we involve these guys in all these activities. So of course they are under some buddy in the office, but then we give them all these opportunities where they make the site visit report, they take the printout, they do the site supervision, they go to the market, they talk to the vendor, they fix up time with the client, they interact with the client, they sometimes sit in the meeting in the office with the client. So in terms of exposure, we try to give them all sorts of exposure, and then over a period of time the candidate also develops a kind of interest, that he is interested in this and he's not interested in this, and then whatever he is interested in, we try to give him leverage in that aspect.
Okay, so this is how it works with the interns and the graduates.
Absolutely, the process is same.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, when you hire an intern or a graduate, the skills that you look for, like, for example, a creative skills or a software skills or soft skills or communication skills, what are your prefer, comparatively what you prefer more when you're hiring them?
See, when there is an intern, then the objective of the office is to teach him. you
Okay.
know when you are an architect or you are a designer or an interior designer and joining the office, the expectation of teaching is moderate, but your skill that you possess has to be explored more. So when you are an intern, we give you all the opportunities where you explore कि आप किसमें अच्छे हो. But when you are coming here as a job, that is where we would like you to work on your strength.
Okay.
So when you can you repeat all those four things
So
that you had
like
mentioned?
there's creative thinking process, there's critical thinking that's course, and there are software skills, and there are also communication skills.
So I'll pick one by one. When you talk of soft skills, I think nowadays most of the candidates are well acquainted with these softwares and all that. So that's where I don't see much challenge in general. Then you have creative skill. That's where I see some challenge, because I personally realize that students now depend very high on Pinterest and other electronic media, and they do not have an in-depth study of the design principles, or even if they have studied, they do not get into the process of analyzing and applying them. So it's all about digital images, something which is aesthetically nice, and the creativity is less by the hand and more by the eye. So then what happens is that every time you do something, you first find an image. So when you find an image online, you get that impression and then you try to only develop that. It's not a fresh idea really coming out. So that is where I see some challenge.
So, like, when we talk about creative thinking, so there's also this thing goes on. So, I'm look for an image on the Pinterest. It told me to get some reference. So I took an image. I have this certain idea when I see it. I use it somewhere else in some else way, but it's just for the reference. Will it be considered okay then? Like, so before what I was doing, I will have when I see Pinterest, I have this image set in my mind. So I'm just unconsciously doing that in my project. But if I'm taking this image, same image, but I'm taking out some elements from it, and then I'm using it somewhere else in my design. So then I think the creative thinking process also goes down. In that scenario, it's okay, I think. But this is what I want to say because that I talked to some people regarding creative thinking. So few does like yeah we are dependent on Pinterest. A few does like we're not exactly copying it. We are just referring it for somewhere else. So these are the two methods that people are using. So yeah. So what do you think about this? First,
I think in today's time, both the methods are okay. Till the time you are really able to do justice to the design that you are doing, simply copying is something that is not acceptable. But yes, I mean, if you're taking an inspiration from there and then really redeveloping it, which suits to your design, I think that works nowadays. Yeah.
so and there's also the communication skills are also kind of one of the upcoming factors important in
See, now communication skills can further be divided into two parts. One is the visual communication,
right.
the presentations that you're really doing. And one is, verbally how you're communicating. Now, there are students sometimes you come across where they are very poor with their visual thing, but they're very good in explaining. And there are certain students who are, bad at verbal explanation, but their presentation is very good. So I would rather put it up in a way that one of the two should be very good, and if both are good, nothing like it. But generally, having the two combination of two is little, competitive nowadays.
So you also look for such ways when you are hiring something because communication like is because when we have to talk to the clients, we have to talk to vendors and contractors. So I think this is also one of the major upcoming skills that should be when students or the new graduates.
See, I think communication skill is actually not a, I don't know if skill is the right term to be given. It is a basic thing.
Yeah.
If I have to explain something, which is there in the diagram, I have to have a good communication skill. I just can't say that this is an image. Now I am sitting quietly, you sit quietly, you keep looking at it. आपको जितना समझ में आया ठीक है, नहीं आया तो ठीक है. So I will have to explain it in a way that the client is able to understand, and whatever philosophy I have followed, whatever inspirations I have taken, and the process in which I have through which I have reached here, I should be able to explain it. So I think it's a very very basic thing that is really required.
And what about the like technical understanding or the detailing parts, like
I to a fresh graduate or to an intern, if you ask, my expectation would not be very high because to get into the details, you have to have a certain level of experience. This doesn't mean that I'm talking कि भाई 5 साल 10 साल 2 साल होना ही चाहिए, but somebody who's regularly seeing vendors working, somebody who's regularly going to the site, somebody is going to a workshop and doing things hands on, will have a lot of understanding of how that material is behaving, how two materials are behaving, or when we are talking of 4 or 5 materials together, how are they behaving. So if I have an understanding of that, I'll be able to do a much better detail.
right. So like when you work with the interns and the graduates, what are the challenges like you personally faced when you work with them?
Well, number one, I see the time is changing very fast. Uh, Interns or graduates with whom we worked 5 years back and the ones who are coming now have a totally different mindset. You know, Number two, there's always a energy. There's always a source of energy in these young guys. When they come in the morning, there's a lot of energy that they want to give to the office, and they want to do a lot of things, and they want to kind of take a hands-on experience in terms of doing a drawing or a design or a detail or whatever. But I see a challenge that the time is limited in an office for a project. It cannot go on for extensions. So ultimately, if they can do 100 things, probably they do 40 or 60 things. Rest 40, because of the timeline, somehow we have to move on further. But Yes, I mean, in terms of, I mean, if I ask, say very practically, there have been times where these interns and these new guys have really helped Office to upgrade in terms of the softwares. We have learned a lot from them. Also in terms of presentations, because when you're working on a software which is like of 2023, so there are a lot of features which are add-ons, so that really helps us. Then in terms of communication sometimes, so a lot of features on WhatsApp or on email or here and there, I think they are the best people to work upon in terms of technology, because as I said, every 5 years, these guys are on a different mode of action, so yeah.
So the challenges you're saying is like the time management is what you.
Yeah, so when I say time management, it basically also means the knowledge. So if you have the knowledge, you manage everything in that stipulated time. So when you have to improve on the knowledge, that time lag basically happens because you kind of upgrade your knowledge up to that level and then move on from there. तो वो जो gap है वो थोड़ा है, but since they are freshers and they're just coming to the office first time, this is a very natural thing, yeah, which is okay.
So so it comes to design school. Like I'm a student, I'm from a design school. I've learned certain skills and certain methods, and when I'm coming to the industry, I'm facing some challenges. Like time for me and some people I see, so there's a time management challenge. If you say like working with the parameters is difficult for them. Like deliverables at on time is like difficult for them sometimes understanding the market needs. So what do you think are the possible reasons for these happening? Things are happening now.
So I think that's the beauty of the profession. Every school will have a different philosophy.
Yeah.
There are certain schools which will really focus on a lot of theory part. There are certain schools which are really focusing on a lot of practical part. There are some where they are really focusing on the industrial exposure. So if a candidate is from school A, then from school B, then from school C, all of them will possess a different kind of a character,
Right.
or an intellect, or a strength, so when I say that's the beauty of the profession, means that every candidate that is going to come here will possess something different. It's not like a engineering, where E is equals to mc square. So if the answer is 10 kilonewtons, for example, तो वो 11 किया तो गलत और वो 9 किया तो गलत, it has to be 10, only then it is right. So with design, anybody who's, and it's totally ulta, हाँ? अगर यहाँ पे if the design is exactly same, then it is a copied thing, it cannot be same. So that only happens because the way you are groomed in the institute is different.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think like there are some certain gaps between the design schools and the industry?
When you say cap, what exactly are you trying to refer?
Gap as in like design schools have some abstract projects going on, and the industry mostly works on the practicality and the post production. There are many other practical factors related to that. Whereas in design schools, so more our hypothetical projects we work on. So do you think there could be some gaps like which is causing the students to feel overwhelmed, or the student sometimes feel like it's he or she is in a very different environment. Like I studied from my school, I studied from my design school, then I came to the industry. But I feel like what I learned from my school is very different what is required in the industry right now. And I kind of feel overwhelmed that time because if I'm learning something from my school, I'm expected to fulfill that in the industry. But it is not being done in that way. So what do you think can be the can is there a gap between those design school and how the industry works? So yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of AI.
Right.
That's the in thing.
Hmm.
You are in your fourth year.
Right.
So if I have to ask you, have you related your design anyhow to AI?
Hmm. In terms of like
Anything? Is there a exposure to you where you have related this design aspect to AI?
okay.
There is. Like, for example, what?
example, like if I'm talking about how I'm going to create a space, so maybe I introduce those AI facilities.
No, but have you done this so far in your curriculum of your 4 years of design?
Okay, so if I say like I use AI softwares for my research, like my
That's something that you are doing. My
yeah.
question is it a part of your syllabus, a written syllabus?
No.
No, right? So when you say is there a challenge? Now this is the challenge.
Hmm.
What I'm trying to say is that every 5 years the generation changes.
Okay.
You know, the syllabus or the curriculum of any institute has to change every 3 years. You can't expect the softwares that we studied 20 years 10 years back are still there, and the name of the software is written in the syllabus, which cannot be there. Maybe another 2 years down the line you have something where you put something on your brain, and whatever you're conceptualizing is coming on the screen. So are we really making students adaptive up to that level or not is a part of the curriculum. Now if that is the kind of flexibility, then a lot of issues get resolved, because then they are doing something which is really up to the mark. But ultimately, in order to do this, there is a lot of effort that your core academicians will have to do, and you will have to have real practicing people as a part of your academics. There's no way out, and it's vice versa. You have to have core academicians also, you have to have core practicing people also. Only then I think the right mode would come out.
Right. Then we get a better understanding what is going outside those boundary walls of a design school.
Absolutely.
Professionals in our curriculum. My next question is about the design process that we studied during our 4 years of the course. Like first we ideate, then like brainstorming, iterating, prototyping, going back and forth. Is this the same process also being applied in the industry nowadays? Or is this just the colleges where this process is being followed? See, I think design process universally is more or less same. Okay. And when you talk of college, they are actually teaching you the process only. Right. Because in 4 years and 5 years, there are limited number of projects that they can do with you, in the school. So you will really encounter n number of projects after you graduate. So any project that you've not done in school and you're going to do it practically, उसमें ultimately you are going to follow the process only. Right. So like for example, if you do a resort, you do a airport, you do a let's say a shipping yard or whatever. So it is only the process that will finally lead you to a conceptual design or the final design. So I think in terms of the process, it is more or less the same. It can of course happen that in some projects some stage will come up and some stage will go down, but more or less it is the same thing where you do a prototype, then you go back and then again improve and then redo that, and come to some better design. More or less same. Yes. Okay. So that's my last question. So it's what I heard from my classmates, and we have this common thing that when we discuss. Like so when we go to industry, so people kind of we heard like you're not good in this, that college तुम्हें नहीं सिखाया, college में तुम कुछ नहीं सीख पाते हो, you learn from industry only. So people that do not appreciate our skills can, one of the reasons is because they do not want to provide a remuneration to us, because they want to provide a lower remuneration to us. So can this be one of the reasons why we do not appreciate our skills much? See, my take on this is that remuneration is never the boss's choice. It is always a candidate's choice. What I mean to say is, if you are worth, right, you will find your place. If you are not worth, you will be always in a requesting mode. Now the other side of it, if office finds you suitable, office will not let you go.
in terms of work, in terms of remuneration, both I'm talking about. So when you say that industry is not paying, or somebody is criticizing to bring down certain remuneration, I say, I would rather put it the other way around. It totally depends on the candidate. How much does he know? So if somebody says that you don't know this, evaluate. Is it really that you don't know this?
Okay.
If you know, you'll be confident and you'll be able to put it across. Sir, I know everything. So if not, then why? And if you know, then why? So I think the answer lies more in the candidate than
That's
the
a
industry.
really nice answer, because when we during an internship, when we first went out to the industry, we are being told such things, and we were like, okay, because we are new, so maybe we don't know about things, and we never question, is it true or not? We never ask ourselves. We just blindly accept it, like, yeah, we are the new ones, so that's the reason why we are getting lower remuneration. But we never ask the question.
But when
why
you say
it is.
lower remuneration, what do you mean? For somebody, lower remuneration can be 5 lakhs, and for somebody, it can be 10,000. So this is again a very relative to your potential.
Okay.
If I worth, let's say, 20 lakh rupees a month, and I am getting 10 lakh rupees, then I would say I am being not getting enough.
Right.
Or I deserve 20 and I'm getting 30, then it's like a wow situation. So again, it is based on my potential.
Right.
So when you say low, it is subjective again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's it for my thesis. I think.
Thank you. I wish you good luck for your thesis, and you are most welcome anytime if there's any help needed, even otherwise.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it's gonna be a lot of help to me, because now my perspective, my mind is open a bit more about the chances and the possible reasons. It could be which was not looking in the first time, but now I'm able to relate it to more.
Good. That's very nice.